So Jonathan, first of all, welcome. Welcome to the Big Ten. How's that feel so far?
It feels exciting, a new adventure, competitive. You walk around, you start looking at these logos, seeing these coaches and some of these players that are here. You can see how competitive this thing's going to be, and I'm excited about that challenge.
Speaking of challenge, you take over a program that was in a lot of turmoil. Finished the year with a lot of things that weren't great for them. But what is your first step, or what have been your first steps to try to stop that and get it turned in a different direction?
I think you just talk about the vision you have for the program and the players and the environment you're trying to create. I think this is the ultimate team game, and really you need to have some deep trust with it. And so diving into relationships, because there's some new faces in the program, not just players, right? Coaches as well. Talk about doing it together, because recruiting. Well, this coach recruited me, or that coach, this type of thing. We're all Spartans here, and we got to be able to do this together in this ultimate team game.
What did you find when you got to East Lansing in terms of the players, particularly the ones that said, "Okay, I'm gonna stick here and stay here and see how this plays out and try to ride it"?
Early impressions, even watching the film from that year, I think there's some competitive character. All the distraction, let's say, with this going on, these guys played competitive. They had a chance really to go to a bowl game on a couple tight losses, and they were doing that throughout the entire year, so they stuck together. I thought there was some competitive character there. I've been impressed with the players. On football means a lot to them. They like to practice, they like to work, they want to get better, and so they enjoy practicing and working hard, and I like that.
Yeah. So you come from Oregon State, 13 years there altogether as a player, GA coach, but your whole career was spent on the West Coast, right? Talk
Yeah.
us through your career path
Career
there.
path. Yeah, so 5 years as a player, Oregon State, and 2 years as a graduate assistant. Got my first full-time job, University of Idaho. Spent 6 there. Go down to Montana for 2, which was awesome, and then went down to Boise State for 2 years. Up to Seattle, University of Washington, 4 years as the offensive coordinator, and then 6 years as the head coach at Oregon State. And so Northwest even has been the whole year, and that's why, again, excited about kind of this new adventure out here in East Lansing. Been a bunch of fun, and in the Big Ten.
Yeah. And how many coaches did you bring with you
So
from Oregon
on-field
State?
coaches, yeah, we brought 6 over, which I thought it was important to have some, continuity, speak the same language, shared experience, but didn't want to stop there. Wanted some guys with deep knowledge of this area. And Joe Rossi, our defensive coordinator, been in this league, done a really nice job. Chad Wilt had been in this league in multiple spots. And then we got 2 coaches that are former Spartans that lived the experience of playing here, and I thought that was more important. So Coach Hawkins and Coach Martin round that out.
Yeah. I find it kind of interesting too, and I don't know if this played into you getting the job or you being attracted to the job, but you came from Oregon State, where there's a really interesting, bitter in-state rivalry with the school that maybe people know more about, and Michigan State is the same kind of rivalry, kind of a big brother, little brother almost feel to it sometimes. I think Michigan State's always had a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. Does that translate for you?
But it does. I enjoy being a part of in-state rivalries, and even all those previous stops I mentioned, all of them really have in-state
Yeah.
rivalries, and so I think that's a fun part of college football. I like being a part of that, and so that was appealing to come to Michigan State.
You talked about what was attractive to come. Was it still difficult to leave your alma mater?
100%.
I
Yeah.
mean, if conference realignment wouldn't have happened, or if the Pac-12 would have stayed intact, do you think that would have affected it?
Yeah, there's no question that was a factor in the decision, because that's not easy. You place that made a bunch of memories, the people, great experiences of wins and development. Players currently there, so that was not easy to leave at all.
Yeah. Well, one of the players you were able to bring with you, Aiden Childs, a quarterback. Talk to me about him a little bit. What do you expect from him? What do you think he can bring to the table?
I think he's really instinctive for a youngster. Got to see him play decent amount last year, and it shows his instincts, his passion for the game. He's got some talent. He can throw and move and athleticism, but he's got a deep desire. He likes working, loves the game, and he's a pretty instinctive player.
Yeah. So a lot of times people will say, okay, well, these teams that are coming from the old Pac-12, the West Coast, it's going to be a new brand of football in the Big Ten, a more physical brand of football. But but your style and the way Oregon State played and won, you guys were a pretty smash mouth,
Yeah.
pound the football
Yeah.
kind of offense, weren't you?
We want to make the game physical, yeah, really on both sides, but offensively, the run game, and maybe it's a little bit more traditional looking. And so I will say, though, just being now at Big Ten study, and there's some explosive offense, there's some talent at receiver, running back, quarterback, strategically on some of these offenses. It's pretty cutting edge.
Yeah. So, what do you hope to accomplish in your first year? What do you want to see happen?
I want to establish some identity in all three phases. So identity as a team of being about finishing and making it physical. I want to see a constant state of improvement. And when game one we play, want to improve to game two and keep that process going. So we're playing our best football at the end of the year when the games want to be in meaningful games in November. We're playing our best ball.
What do you think will be the biggest challenges for you this first year?
I think anytime, first year, adversity is going to come. Everybody's going to face that. I think the biggest challenge is how well we can handle adversity, respond back. Ball doesn't bounce our way. Have a tough half, how we respond in the second half, those things. I think a lot about in the first year.
You only play one of the new teams that is coming into the league, but you are familiar with all of them. Is that, for you and your staff, does that at least cut some of your preparation down for the league?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, because we're familiar with the places, whether we're traveling, what the stadiums
Yeah.
are like, those kind of things, and the recruiting circles.
Yeah. What has surprised you the most so far off the field about Michigan State?
Really how welcoming the community's been, the people. The passion, knew it was passionate not just for football, though. You go to these basketball games, hockey had a big time year, gymnastics, the place is sold out. The passion for Michigan State athletics has been fun to be around.
A couple guys that I've had the pleasure of being around a lot. Just want to know if you've had much interaction with. So, number one, you mentioned basketball. Tom Izzo is a huge football fan.
Yeah.
Have you had much
Yeah,
connection
a
with him?
good amount. He's been awesome. Really the first day I got there, talking to him, and then we've continued it. And he's been a huge help. Knowing the place, knowing coaching, the Asbury. He loves football, and so wants to be around that. So I've leaned on him quite a bit.
Yeah, and another guy just that was there and was the last time Michigan State really was at its peak. Mark D'Antonio. Have you had a chance to be with him at
Yeah,
all?
a few times, a few phone calls. He's been in my office now, or more or less his office, a couple of times, and he's been great too. Conversations, how he got things going, kind of his approach, whether recruiting, practice, development. Both those guys have been a huge help.
Your philosophy, what it was at Oregon State, maybe now what it is at Michigan State, how does it change as far as the balance between recruiting and developing and using the portal to try to find guys that are proven that can kind of plug and play a little bit more?
Want to get it to a pretty similar approach in regards to majority come from high school and put in work and developing and get better, and then you supplement your roster through the portal. We're not quite there yet in this first year with all the transitions we've had, but we'd like to get to that point.
Yeah.